currently driving on this country road that borders Picatinny Arsenal, and it's just a nice little windy, hilly country road in northern New Jersey. It's a lot of fun to drive on. I am currently in the 2018 Chevrolet Volt. We're driving in low on our transmission gear select, which is really the best way to drive on these roads in my opinion, because it's like one pedal driving. So as you accelerate, you hit the throttle and you speed up to get up a hill. As you coast down a hill, you slow down for turns. You don't actually have to use your foot brakes. You just use regenerative braking, which captures the energy and puts it back into the battery. So it's a lot of fun. In today's video, I'm gonna take this opportunity while driving down the road here to tell you how I got into the car business. And I wanna start out by saying, I never thought I'd be a car salesman. I never had any ambition or aspirations to be a car salesman. It just sort of happened. And I think like a lot of us in life, that's what happens. Things kind of just play out with no real anticipation. You make choices, you make lefts, you make rights, and you follow the road, and who knows where you'll end up, right? So when I was going through high school, I never really had any ambition to be salesman, sales, anything like that. I liked graphic art, I liked computer art and graphic design, things like that. I wasn't really a fan of school. I did okay, you know, I didn't have big dreams of going to college and stuff like that. That wasn't really for me. However, I did know I had to do something. So I decided to go to a 2-year school, which was a community college for graphic arts. Now, while I was going to school for graphic arts, I was also working in the banking industry. You know, it was a job you can get at the age of 18. I started as a teller. I worked in 3 different banks. I kind of moved rapidly from one to the other because every time I moved, I'd get like an extra $1 an hour. Back then, $1 an hour was, you know, was fantastic at that age. I then landed at at what was called Trust Company Bank at the time, and they had these supermarket branches. There were branches inside the supermarket, and it was pretty cool because you were not only a teller where you did transactions, but you were also sales. So you opened accounts and you referred things to mortgage departments and loan departments and investment departments and things like that. So you learned a lot, you got a lot of training, and you got a little bit more of a sales culture rather than just processing transactions. Once I graduated school, I kind of met some people that were in different places in the bank, and they put me into a cash management position, which was a business product service division of the bank. You know, we handle things like merchant credit card machines. You know, like you go to a pizzeria and you pay with a debit card or a credit card, like the machine they use. Like we would sell those to those types of businesses. We did a lot of workplace banking. Workplace banking was where we would basically go into a location and do a presentation to all the employees and try to get those employees to sign up with the bank for checking accounts and savings and direct deposit and all that sort of stuff. So with that, I got a little bit more comfortable with like public speaking and that sort of thing. About 1.5 years into that position, we got to 2000 and let me see if I remember correctly here. It was February of 2004. The bank announced that they were being acquired. They were selling the bank, which currently now is Capital One because they got bought out by Capital One. But when that happened, 300 to 350 of us corporate employees were getting laid off. You know, we're getting laid off with the option to apply for a new job. And for me, you know, I was making money. It was one of those things I really didn't have a passion for what I was doing. So I kind of used that timing to say, you know what, I'm gonna rethink what I'm doing and my purpose and what do I want to achieve and what do I want to do, and use this as an exit strategy to get out of the banking industry, because I had no ambition to do that either. That was just something I did to make money and pay bills, you know. We ended up staying with the bank until May, and then May of 2004 is when the buyout actually took place and we actually got laid off. Now, it was a pretty easy transition money-wise because, you know, I had a severance package because I was there for a number of years. We got unemployment from day one. You know, I got paid vacation time, and I was still living at home with very little overhead. So for me, it was like, okay, here's a whole bunch of money. I just got paid for 3-4 months worth of work, and I don't really have any bills. So I'm gonna take the summer off. And I did that. I took the summer off, June, July, August. As I'm coming into August, I still remember today, my father coming home from work one day and I'm by the pool and he's like, you know, what are you doing? You gotta get a job, you gotta do something, you're not just gonna sit here. And it was around that time that I was considering this, and I looked at him, I said, yeah, I'm gonna go into auto sales. And I remember the response was like, oh, come on, no, you don't wanna do that. You don't wanna be one of those guys, you know, you're better than that, you know, that sort of thing. Because listen, let's face it, car salespeople do not have a good reputation, right? But it was just something I felt like I wanted to do to get me to the next step, because I was doing sales anyway with banking products, which are boring. Why not sell stuff that's not boring, like Corvettes, Camaros, and vehicles, you know? So that's why I chose to get into this industry. There was a dealership at the time, conglomerate, they had Lexus, Ford, Jeep, Chevy, you know, a whole bunch of stores. My sister had bought a car from their Nissan store. It seemed to be like a very family oriented, nice type of dealership to work for. And the Chevy store had a sales needed sign in the window. So I walked in the door one day in my full suit, this was in September, and basically got hired on the spot, you know, where they bring you in and train you and go through the process. So I was officially, as of September of 04, a Chevrolet car salesman. Now I worked at that store, you know, and kind of got my feet wet in the industry. And the manager I had at the time that was at that store probably gave me the best advice that I ever got, you know, that early on in any job. And it was, you know, you got to learn your product, right? So here's what I want you to do. Go outside, get into a Suburban, touch every button, fold every seat, do everything you can in this car, truck, drive it, play with everything, spend 2-3 hours doing that, and then come back, you're gonna tell me what you learned about it. And that was probably some of the best advice I got, because I ended up doing that with every vehicle, and I still do that today. You know, we get a new vehicle in, or we get something, you know, new technology in with Bluetooth and CarPlay and things like that, I play with it. That's what you do. You get in the car and you learn it, you teach yourself. This way you can tell your customer all about it. And I think that's where a lot of salespeople falter. They don't take the time to do that. They focus on learning how to talk to customers and how to negotiate and overcome objections and all that. But what they don't realize is if you learn your product and you can present it in a way that helps people, it makes everything else after that so much easier when it comes to negotiating and pricing and things like that. But anyway, I was working there, I was learning as I went, and lo and behold, February 9th, 2005, and I never forget the day, it was the 9th, to the day that the bank announced they were closing the bank, or they were getting bought out, the Chevy store announced that they were selling the Chevy franchise to another owner. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, here it is a year later, and technically we were gonna get laid off with the option to either apply for the new store or for one of the current other locations, whether it be Jeep, Dodge, Lexus, whatever. And I really wanted to work for Chevy. So I did apply to the new owner. I did get a letter of hire, and I also had a referral to the store that I currently still work at now. It was different ownership. But I got a referral to go down and talk to them, and I did, and I got hired there. And ultimately, I chose the store that's been there since the 50s. It was like, do I go to a new store that's just starting with a new owner, with a new franchise for them, or do I go to someone that's established? So I definitely made the right decision. I went to who was established, and I continued my career at that location, starting there in July of 05. So I started on a Monday. And you know, you just come off a Sunday. I get there Monday morning. The manager at the time had sat me, it was a small showroom, but he sat me at a desk that was right to the left of where like the sales managers sat. This way they can kind of hear how I was interacting with customers and what kind of training I would need and stuff like that. You know, being that I've only been in the business at that point, what, a number of months, 7-8 months, you know, I was very new in the industry. And as I'm kind of just gauging what's going on and watching people and sort of introducing myself to other salespeople, managers, the used car manager there at the time walked up to one of the guys that was there, and he said, hey, listen, man, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. You wrote 3 deals for the used car department on Saturday, and you know, we really appreciate it. I was blown away. I was like, 3 cars? How did this guy write 3 cars in one day? You see, at the store we were working at, because the store was closing, the store was very slow. It kind of, that word got out fast, and you know, we weren't that busy. So I was selling maybe 7 or 8 cars a month, if that, you know, for the 6-7 months that I was at that store. How did this guy sell 3 cars in one day? I remember just sitting there being scared, like, this is crazy. What am I getting myself into? I don't have the ability to keep up with these guys, you know. Well, long story short, it turns out the gentleman that did that, it was just a fluke. He didn't do those kinds of numbers consistently. It was just he had a very good Saturday, which happens. The most cars I've sold in one day was actually 5. You know, I did gain a lot of product knowledge at the prior dealership, but when I got to this store, it was like the managers knew what they were doing. It was a well-oiled machine. You know, the owners were very involved. It was just a really great place to work. And what turned out to be what I figured would have been about a 4-year or 5-year plan to make ends meet and just kind of, you know, make money until I figure out what I want to do, whether it be in design or anything like that. I ended up just staying there. You know, I ended up staying in there, and here I am now in 2019, 14 years later, still in the business, but enjoying every minute of it, you know. And what YouTube is doing for me is it's now, and I wish I did this years ago. You know, I wish I started YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that back in 2010. You know, I'm sort of anti-social media. I use it for Facebook. Dave B sells Chevy, which I started in 2017. You know, before that, I wasn't even on Facebook. What I like about it in making these videos and stuff like that is it's the creative outlet. You know, it's the passion I had at that age when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, and I liked computer art and design, and I liked the idea of creating things. And you know, that's really what I'm doing now. Like, I'm creating a YouTube channel, I'm creating a page and a whole bunch of content that I could put out there for you guys to watch and hopefully enjoy. And I appreciate you guys watching and hopefully enjoying it. And I'm adding to what I'm doing every day, which is great. You know, I feel like the more I do, the better I feel at the end of the day. If you have any questions at all about auto sales or how I got into the business or anything like that, just drop them in the comments below. I'll answer all of them. You know, it's a great industry if you want to get into it. I am going to make a video going forward, I think, about things that I would look for if you're looking to start in auto sales. You know, maybe dealership styles, sales cultures, things like that. Have a passion for what you're doing in life. It helps life so much better, and it keeps you smiling. There's no reason you should have to go to work every day and not like what you do. So try to figure that out. I'm lucky that I did. And then again, it was a passion for cars, and it was sales experience that got me into this industry. Prior to that, never thought about it, never had any ambition to be a car salesman, but it worked out well for me. And now with YouTube and social media, I'm looking to expand it that much more and just add to the passion that I have and get it out into the world of YouTube. I appreciate you guys watching. If you made it to the end of this video, I'm basically at the almost at the end of the road here. I'll be home soon, and I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. I hope you do the same.